Hello traders, Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com, August 30th, 2020. In this edition of your weekend video newsletter, we'll discuss the indices, all of which closed higher last week. More importantly, the New York Stock Exchange of more than 2,900 stocks had a 5,200-day bullish cross, which is very significant. London Stock Exchange and Nikkei were lower, Hang Seng was a bit higher, Bombay Stock Exchange outperformed, as well as the emerging markets. Big cap tech stocks moved higher as well, with Roku closing up 17.48% for the week. The bond stock ratio, as well as many of our indicators, 16 to be exact, are bullish, with 3 neutral and 1 bearish for the week. The heat map is mostly neutral, with the XLY-XLP ratio remaining bullish and rising. International heat map markets in Europe are improving. VWILX, the Vanguard International Fund, is green and breaking out. We had Europe looking good. We had Argentina and Brazil showing relative strength, and we did have India outperforming. South Korea, China is improving, and Japan is neutral. We'll look at some IBD 50 names in addition to MarketSmith Growth 250, top volume percent gainers in green, and the blue dot scan candidates in cyan. The Dow Industrials also had more than a dozen candidates that look good for this week. Volkowski has 5 of 5 green with a CPI signal, green since August the 18th. And bullish with 22 bearish patterns, 50 bullish patterns, and 194 patterns waiting for breakout. Bottom line, we're bullish to neutral. We're looking at swings now. VIX continues to move lower. SPY and the S&P 500 closed above resistance, the absolute gamma strike at 350 and 3,500 respectively. So we'll wait this week to see if institutions do roll up to confirm their positions are moving higher. Starting off with SPY, removing the noise, we continue to build white bricks as we close at all-time highs. Until we see a red brick, the trend is up. A close below the 5 or the 9 would signal caution, and a close below the 21-day, we'd be looking for a move back to the 50-day moving average. We do have major volume by price support in this area, with RSI showing muscle. MACD and stochastics are embedded, and volume did increase to confirm price action. NASDAQ 100 Big Cap Tech closed near all-time highs. From the March lows, 78.2%, closing just shy of the 12,000 mark on Friday. RSI showing muscle, and MACD is above its signal line and rising. Volume has been increasing, showing institutions are active. The S&P 500 equal weight index, where no stock is more important than any other, closed at highs. We had the number of stocks closing above their 50-day moving average, rising up to 82.36. We're still shy of overbought, and CCI continues to move higher. The S&P 500 monthly chart also shows price action at highs. Stochastic and MACD are both bullish and rising. Buy-sell signals are bullish. The ARCA Institutional Index, the 75 stocks most commonly held by institutions in our core portfolios, continues on a bullish trend, producing green elder sticks, with the 21-day and the 50-day rising rapidly along with price, while the S&P 1500 composite, 500 big caps, 400 mid caps, and 600 small caps remains on a bullish signal. Histogram is above the trigger line and bullish, and price action on these 1,500 stocks continues to print green elder sticks, bullish for the week. Breaking down the breadth of these three components, we can see the S&P 500 in the upper panel moving away from the 200 period moving average, producing higher lows. We need to see a higher high this week. Same with the mid caps and small caps just above the 200 period last week. The Zweig breadth thrust indicator is also moving higher. The S&P 500 in the middle panel, mid caps below that, small caps, and the NASDAQ in the lower panel. All of them moving back above zero and rising, but not overbought. So that's bullish to start the week. In addition to the McClellan oscillator for the NASDAQ, which is turning up, rising, becoming more bullish. In addition to what we saw with the NYMO, McClellan oscillator for the New York Stock Exchange, that's also starting to hook upward, create a valley, a higher low. And finally, we see VIX with a green signal. This is a 60-minute time frame flipped on its head so that it aligns with price action. When it's green, we look for higher highs and higher lows. While VIX daily remains in a bearish trend below its 50-day moving average, rejected on Thursday, closing lower on Friday. The number of bulls. This is the American Association of Individual Investors bull-bear ratio. When this is dropping, the bears are in control. Each time this creates a valley and starts rising, it aligns with a bullish rally. We're starting to see a turn now going into the end of August. By the beginning of September, this monthly chart should be creating a valley, as we've seen most recently in 2016, where the markets rallied to its current course, closing at all-time highs on Friday. Bottom line, we're more bullish than bearish going into the week, with 16 bullish indicators, 3 neutral, and 1 bearish to start the week. The bond stock ratio weekly time frame between the 10-year bond and the S&P 500 is shown in this chart. S&P in the top panel weekly, lower panel the ratio, as long as this is dropping, and the 65 period moving average rolling over in this case, that's bullish for equities, intermediate and short term, while favoring equities over bonds. TLT weekly showing that rejection last week. The longer end TLT and the 30-year, 20-30-year, as well as AGG are starting to lose the highs, confirming what we're seeing in the bond stock ratio and the 10-year yield, which is rising. As of last week, we got a bullish crossover in PPO. Momentum oscillators are bullish. For the yields, looking good for equities as a confirmation when the 10-year is rising. Confirmed also with HYG, yields are moving higher, with junk bonds reflecting the same trend. Currency pairs relative to the dollar are rising. British pound broke higher last week. That put a little pressure on the London Stock Exchange and the FTSE as the dollar continued to test these lows, while the yen rose a little bit but remains in the sideways range since March. As a result, with the dollar moving in the lower part of its range, gold is trying to break higher. 2 weeks pretty much sideways in the middle of its range. Bollinger Bands are narrowing, RSI is rising. With the inflation picture picking up, the Fed mentioning letting inflation take over last week, we would expect to see gold continue to move higher. It's above its 50-day moving average. 50-day is starting to ramp as well. So if you're thinking about a hedge in gold, not a bad idea. As we see the same thing in copper, breaking out to new highs would be bullish for home builders as consumers lock in those low rates, build new homes or buy existing. Also good for home improvement and building construction and supply companies. And then finally, there is the bullish correlation with crude oil and the S&P 500 moving higher, just grinding along above this resistance support zone. Continues to move higher, that would be bullish for equities. The consumer discretionary to consumer staples ratio Tells you what institutions are doing, how they are positioning. The current path higher looks nothing like February or the late October, November, December 2018 before the rollover, similar to February, that led to a 20% drawdown, and then a rally where the ratio was rising rapidly. This is bullish for equities in the short and intermediate term. While the sectors that we follow continue along an upward path up and to the right, with the exception of XLE Energy, which is lagging, along with utilities. Financials, industrials, and healthcare are all basing, looking for a breakout this week. Transports based the previous week, following through, looking for continuation this week, with these sectors showing a bullish trend continuation. Here are the IBD 50 for the week. We're looking for stocks that are at or near the 21-day, preferably, in a bullish trend, like we see with ASML and many others going into this week, along with Adobe, Akamai, Applied Materials, AMD. We see Baba also moving higher. Berry looks good. Dohu, EBS looks good. Futu, CLAC, KL, LRCX looks good. Marvell, PFSI, PKI, Thermo Fisher as well looks good, and XP. So let's get right to it. ASML holding the 21-day, the 50-day. RSI is above 50. Volume starting to increase. MACD is above its signal line. Looking for a follow through this week and a push off of this area. Adobe inside, looking for a break higher out of this base. Breaking out last week. RSI is above 50. Volume increasing, showing institutions are the ones picking up shares, and MACD is above its signal line and rising. With AMD starting the week, holding the 9 EMA on Friday, looking for a continuation and a breakout above this level. Remember all of those options that we saw on Friday at the 100 strike with RSI above 50. Akamai continuation, volume showing institutions are picking up shares, MACD is above its signal line and rising. Alibaba flag looks like that's going to continue higher this week as well. RSI showing muscle, volume showing institutions are present, and MACD above its signal line and rising. Applied Materials a little more risky. If it gets back above the 21-day in this volume by price resistance zone, RSI would be rising based on price, while many of the material stocks like Berry's Plastics continues to push. Support at the 21-day. Stochastics oversold, getting ready to turn. That looks really good for this week. APPS, Digital Turbine, holding the 21-day. RSI is above 50 and turning. Volume picked up on Friday. Almost oversold on Stochastic, looking for a turn this week. Dohu looking for a follow-through. Nice trend starting this past week. Volume showing institutions are picking up shares. MACD is above its signal line. Futu looking for a bounce at this level. Volume by price support. RSI moving back above 50. Volume starting to increase. Oversold. Stochastic looking for a follow-through and a turn in MACD this week. IIPR, many of you are already in this one. Breaking out of this base, looking for a follow-through and continuation. MACD above its signal line and Stochastic is now embedded. Intuit, software for business accounting, looking for a follow-through this week. Volume increasing, showing institutions have been picking up shares. CLAC and many semiconductors looked good last week, looking for a follow-through. Also watch Kirkland Lake Gold. If we do see a breakout in the yellow metal this week, as we talked about, look for a push higher with Kirkland Lake. LRCX needs to get above the 21-day, but it's looking good for this week. RSI would be above 50 if that does happen. Watch for volume to take over. Lowe's and Home Depot. Lowe's fared a little bit better than Home Depot last week, looking for a follow-through. Resume the trend. Marvell, another semiconductor we saw last week. Lots of volume coming in the options for the September series. As RSI rises rapidly and volume shows that institutions are buying shares, MACD cross. Stochastic was oversold to start the week and followed through. Microsoft expecting an announcement this week with the TikTok deal and Walmart collaboration. NVIDIA leading the semiconductor group, breaking out last week as well on Friday. Nice volume over the last 7 trading days, with MACD above its signal line and rising. PayPal continues its trend higher as well. Looking for a follow-through and a breakout perhaps this week. Volume showing institutions have been picking up shares. MACD's back above its signal line. PennyMac Financial Services, nice little bullish pattern here. Looking for a follow-through. RSI rising. Stochastics rising from oversold. MACD's turning and about to cross this week. PerkinElmer, nearly a hammer on Friday, looking for a move back to the highs. Stamps.com pulling back a little bit. Maybe it tests the 50-day. At that point, we'd see stochastics oversold, perhaps turning. So keep an eye on this one over the next couple of weeks. SNPS, looking for a continuation here as well. Major volume by price support below. RSI above 50. Thermo Fisher back above the 21-day. RSI rising, volume increasing. And Workday finishing off the week with a gap up, huge volume. Looks like institutions really like this one. Look for a gap and go and a continuation over the next few trading days. And finally, XP, which is continuing higher. Just oversold last week, starting to rise, not quite to overbought levels yet. Could break out this week as well. RSI is above 50 and bullish. Finally, there's Zoom. Impossible stock to short. Every time I've tried, 3 times total. I made a little bit of money, but the stock is definitely strong and following through, showing institutions like the stock. The Dow Industrial Components also look really strong. We're looking for American Express to continue higher, as well as Caterpillar, looking for a breakout. Disney holding up very well, looking for a follow-through as well. Continuation. 21-day is rising. It's above the 50-day. IBM looking better. Intel is also looking very strong all of a sudden coming out of this base. Looking like Intel could pick up and fill this gap over the next several weeks for you swing traders that are looking for something a little bit more long-term. You've got the base and a good risk-reward ratio. Put a stop underneath Friday's low. Johnson & Johnson also looks good, as well as JP Morgan. Looking for follow-through. Coca-Cola broke out of this base. Looking for a follow-through and at least another few weeks of upside in Coca-Cola as it breaks out of that base. Along with 3M, following through last week. Looking for a breakout. Nike, continuation from previous watch lists. RTX, Raytheon, also looking for a follow-through and a breakout. Moving above the 21-day. Looking for an expansion day. And of course, all the stocks on the MarketSmith Growth 250 and white underneath the IBD 50. Top volume percent gainers in green and the blue dot scan candidates in cyan. Okay, traders, that's going to do it for me. This is Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com. It is August the 30th with your weekend video newsletter. I'll send out a watch list later tonight around midnight, probably on the East Coast. Got a lot of work to do around the house. My closing is Friday. Wednesday, Thursday, I'll probably be doing a remote broadcast. I have to break everything down. I'll also send out the watch list on the West Coast, probably around 8:30, 9 o'clock. So look for that in your inbox. Otherwise, wish me well. Good luck to everyone. I hope this helps. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon.